Alright guys, so today I want to go over something I think really important when it comes to irritable bowel syndrome with IBS, and as probably quite a shock for some of you. Like, really mean that, because it's going to show you a different way of thinking. And while we're going through this, I encourage you to write things down about yourself if you've got IBS, because this might change your life. Might. And for some of you that are watching this, it will definitely change your life, because it did me when I found out as well. I was like blown away by it. Stick around to the end, because we're really going to do a deep dive today on the financial cost of IBS, just so you have an understanding for yourself really what it means for you moving forwards. And we're going to look at what most people are doing that stay stuck, that are suffering with IBS, they can't control the symptoms and the life is absolutely miserable, and what is really keeping them stuck, and versus the people, you know, not just who we work with, but other people that work with others that get the symptoms under control like clockwork, and they've got IBS, what I call IBS mastery, and they're living life on their terms, and the kind of difference there. Stick around to the end, because I'm going to show you something that's really sneaky. So we're going to go through the main costs, which you can see, which everyone's aware of, but then towards the end, I'm going to show you some stuff which is like, for me anyway, it was like, whoa, I didn't think of it like that at all. But before we dive in, I want to get started. I want to just sort of start off and kick off with I guess an example, a story, as you will. So let's say you have a car, and every car, you know, you change it every how many years. So how many cars does a person have in a lifetime? Let's say, for argument's sake, I know some people go crazy and have hundreds of cars, but let's say you have 10 cars. In a lifetime, you're going to have 10 cars. And let's say as well that you're quite conservative and you just buy used cars, you know, nothing fancy like a Rolls Royce or a Ferrari or even a Mercedes or whatever. So let's say those 10 cars, you pay 10 grand. Your budget is 10k for each car. Yeah, clearly some people pay easily 20k for a car, yeah? So that's it. Over that 10-year period is 100k. With me, 100k. That's quite a lot of money. But over the time, you don't really see it going out. It's like Benjamin Franklin says, small leaks sink big ships. And what if somebody came along and said, look, you got 100 grand there for cars. How about I give you one car, just one car, at 10 grand, and you save the 90 grand. You don't need to spend off, you know, even though it's going to happen over time, you can keep that $90,000. And for $10,000, I'm going to give you a car, and it's going to last the whole thing. You're not going to get bored of it. It's going to be in good condition. It's going to do everything you want it to and more. What would you say? You'd want to keep that extra 90k, spend the 10, and be done with it. Yeah, because then for the rest of your life, you've got a car that works, it can get you around and do the things you want it to do. Bear that one in mind. I think that's just going to leap us straight into when we look at IBS costs. Now, the list that I've put down there is not exhaustive. It's not an exhaustive list. There's other stuff you might pay for, things that's not on the list. You know, you can write that down on there. Now, this is stuff we've been discussing. We've discussed this recently in our Facebook group. Feel free to jump in and say hi. Just search on Facebook, IBS in men, easy. The only Facebook group for men, and it is men only, unfortunately. So if you're a bloke and you've got IBS diagnosis, we'll see you in there. Look at this now. So a lot of people, when we look at special foods, that can be things like gluten-free, dairy-free, you know, anything that's got like, you know, it's a food where you're thinking it's helping you to reduce and minimise them symptoms. But the question is, if you're doing this, you know, and $250 a month, because this is per month, is pretty conservative. Some people spend north of like $300, even $500 a month on various different things like gluten-free products, dairy-free products. You know, some people have, and you might be the same, and it's $500 a month. But for now, we'll stick to $250 for the example here. Next one is OTC meds, over-the-counter medications, tablets or medications for things like diarrhea, constipation. You know, your fibre tablets. I know we're kind of going into supplements as well. They do help. Clearly they do. Pain relief, etc. But you're kind of getting turned into an ATM. You know, you're like this walking cash machine, because you're constantly paying out for over-the-counter medications because your IBS is out of control all the time and it's not getting dialed in. So for now, a lot of people spend about $50, but it can be more. But it's $50 a month. Alternate therapies, you know. How many people, me included in the past, have tried all these alternate therapies? But we try all these different things, don't we? Like alternate therapies. Some really don't work. That's what you've got to ask yourself. Is any of this, is what you're paying giving you the best outcome? Now, I'm not saying is what you're paying for giving you a little bit of relief, because arguably, medication, special foods, a little bit of therapy here and there, it might give you a little bit of relief sometimes, maybe if you're lucky, but not the full relief, which is what we're looking at now. It's getting that big outcome. And the big outcome, which a lot of people don't believe they can get, they're like, there's no way I can get that big outcome. There's no way I can master IBS. It's impossible. If you think it's impossible, it is. But if you think it is possible, it is as well, you know. There is a way. There's always a way if they're committed. But there's always an excuse for those that aren't. So other ones then is books and resources. You might not be a bookworm. A lot of people, you know, you don't need to pay for blogs, obviously. But we'll keep that conservative at $30. And last but least, I've put on there supplements. That could be, you know, supplements like probiotics, prebiotics. Yeah, we mentioned about fibre tablets before. Various different vitamins that you think that you're missing in your diet. But the question with that is, are you missing them nutrients, or do you just believe you are? Have you spoke to a registered dietitian, see that you're missing them nutrients, and do you need them supplements? A lot of the time, whether you've got IBS or not, people just take stuff because somebody else has taken it. People just take stuff because they see that it can give you this outcome. So all that there, as you can see, and I'm going to come on to the sneaky one in a second because it's going to blow you away. 50 there a month, 70, 30 and 100. So straight away then we've got the 3, we've got the 4, we've got the $500. $500 a month that a lot of people, maybe you included, maybe, I don't know. Okay, but write it down, be honest with yourself. Remember the Benjamin Franklin quote? Small leaks sink big ships. You know, it's a small outcome every month. We don't really feel it. We don't, and maybe it's not as much as 500. Maybe you are sat there and it's just 200 one month. But then what is it over the year? You know, some months it might be more, some it might be less. Okay, so you can work that out yourself and write it down. So we can stick with 500 for now, just for the purpose of the example. So how much is that a year? So we've got 6,000 a year that's going out of our account, out of our wages, our income, money that could be used elsewhere. So we're paying out this 6,000 a year for all this stuff, or a combination of them. You know, you might be spending 300-400 on special foods and nothing on the other. So, you know, sort of play around with it. So how much is that a year from your income? You know, whether you're working full time, you've got your own business as an entrepreneur, what does that look like? You might get a shocking surprise. I did when I did this many years ago. Now the sneaky one, it's like hidden like a little imp around the corner hiding, which people don't realise because it's a different way of thinking. The entrepreneurs that are watching this, you've probably seen that, and you're probably ahead of the game anyway. And some of you will be as well. Is the missed? It's not just the missed opportunities. Some of you might be thinking missed opportunities, even though that is a cost. Is the missed income? What is that missed income? Now we can go lower level to higher level. So at the lower end, you could have somebody that is, you know, working as an engineer. Could be working in a building site, and because of his IBS, they're having to reduce their hours down. You know, a lot of people have to do that. It's very common. I see it all the time, reducing the hours to part-time, or some people have to leave work altogether, you know, which is really sad. You know, having to quit their business, their dreams, or even just going out and making a living and bringing that money in for family, for kids. It is heartbreaking, you know, when you really sort of connect to it and think about it, that not only have we got all these symptoms going on, all these issues and trying to pay for it, all this stuff, but there's now a massive deficit in income because symptoms are out of control. And then what happens is it ends up being like a catch-22, because we all know the gut-brain axis, the connection is we've then got stress, there's depression, anxiety about being out of work, not having enough money, and it's just like a vicious circle, because that creates more flare-ups. We get the IBS symptoms because we don't know our triggers anyway, so we're eating stuff and drinking stuff that's causing IBS to flare up. We've got the stress, the depression, the anxiety, and it just becomes this horrible vicious circle of crap, no pun intended, of, you know, nastiness really, because of everything what's going on. Hope you're enjoying the video, guys. Just to dive in here, if you are sick and tired, and if this is resonating with you, and you've realised, because you've watched the video, you've reflected on things, and you know that your IBS is getting in the way, even the fear of IBS is preventing you from earning 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 extra, whatever that amount is, per year, and you want to do something about it and only invest a fraction of that now so that you can earn, you know, that potential for the rest of your life, then hook us up now. Don't wait, because time is money, and obviously we don't get time back. It's the most precious commodity. So if you want to speak to me about it and the team, hook us up at charliejean.com/apply. There's a link in the description. There's a link on the YouTube channel. Dial us up and let's talk. Let's look at saving you some money and making you some money, making you more of a better person, feeling better, more confident, so that you can go out and create the legacy that you know that you need, and your family as well. Take care. What's even sneakier is, and I'm just thinking of Jason, a guy that we helped a year or two back now, entrepreneur. Now, as an entrepreneur, Jason was earning like tons of money. Like his profit was easily multiple 6, if not early 7 figures. And he started to grow a big company, wanting to expand, and doing really well. But his IBS was crazy, like through the roof. And when Jason was doing meetings, now in lockdown, it wasn't so much of a problem because it was all Zoom, wasn't it? It was all like virtual, so you could probably do one sat on the toilet if you change the background settings, But now that that's all come to an end, and a lot of people have to go face to face, then it's more and more challenging. So as Jason is an entrepreneur, he didn't even realise at the time, this is why I say it's so sneaky, it's IBS, because for some people, the consequences of having IBS, the kind of knock-on effect, is brain fog. You're low energy, maybe you're not sleeping properly. Sleep is everything, So you wake up in the morning maybe feeling lethargic, you've got to drag yourself out of bed, and you just really can't have that impact in your business and on the world at hand. And if you're helping like people like we do, you're creating a service where we help men get unstuck with IBS, professional men, athletes, entrepreneurs, etc., to have that IBS-free life so they can create that legacy. If you're like that and you've got a service or a business similar to that, because how is that impacting other people? How is that impacting potential clients, people that you're creating that service to? If you can't expand your business as an entrepreneur because you can't think creatively, or you've got this invisible barrier, this wall, as you will, what is that doing to the other people around you? Because then you can't add more employees, which helps them and their families because they're earning money from you, getting putting their 401k, their pensions together, their investments. It just impacts everything. And it's sneaky because you don't really think about it that way. And I really challenge you and to consider sitting down and giving it some thought. Whether you're an entrepreneur or not, it doesn't matter. What industry you work in. Pulling it back, that for Jason, once his IBS was dialed in, he could think more clearly. He was sleeping better. You see, getting a good quality night's sleep. So he was naturally waking up fresher, diving out of bed rather than dragging yourself out of bed, and then going into work on fire rather than in clip. Worrying about, is he going to make it to the toilet on time, or is his symptoms going to flare up while he's in a really important meeting with the board of directors? Just don't need any of that. It's so exhausting. When you can put that to one side and think of the opportunities that you can do. And he was able to add, he was able to add 7 figures, not 6, not even 5, 7 figures to his business and expand 6 months and beyond, because he's had just something that seems as stupid as dialing his IBS in. It's not stupid, it's massive. So for him, investing a little bit of money now was actually something it paid for itself. And a lot of people don't think like that, and it is an entrepreneurial way of thinking. It's a different way of thinking for people that are into like investments. If you're listening to this and you're one of them, then you'll understand where I'm going from. So if you sat at home thinking $1,000, $5, $10, whatever $1,000 for an IBS system, for IBS coaching, because that's a ridiculous amount of money, then you need to maybe just consider just a different way of thinking of what it is going to do for you in terms of what return of that investment are you going to get. The only thing then that comes down to is having trust and certainty and a belief not only in yourself but in the people, the company that you're working with, because that's important. You need to be a reputable company that you can trust, that have strong values and standards like we do, and then you can connect with them and then get that outcome. I remember speaking to a guy, Stuart, it was last year, Stuart, and he was working part-time. Now, he used to work full-time, married, 2 kids. His missus was working full-time. But he was working part-time because of his IBS, you see? Because he just couldn't commit the full time anymore. Because he had a specific time of the day where he could pretty much get away with his symptoms being not too bad. And that's when he was going into work. And then he was, the rest of the day, the afternoon, for example, he was coming home. I mean, yeah, he got to see the kids, but he wasn't really in any fit state to spend time with his kids anyway, because half the time he was on the couch or in bed. Really, really bad symptoms. So what does that look like? For him, it was $30,000 a year. The price drop, 30k. So what is your income? But also, it might not be income that you're missing out on. It might be income, like with the entrepreneur that I mentioned, it might be the income that you could add to the income that you're already getting. If your IBS is dialed in, do you see what I'm saying? Different way of thinking. So what could you go and do? What is it that's been holding you back? Maybe you've got some dreams and some visions anyway. Maybe you've got a goal of creating a business. Maybe you've got a dream of a promotion at work. Maybe you want to be a senior manager or a CEO. Maybe you don't want to run the company. Maybe you want to have a side hustle, or start another business because you're a serial entrepreneur. You've got 2-3 businesses, you want to start a fourth one, and that thing that there's this invisible wall that's just pulling you back of IBS, and not having the skills, which is what we're going to come on to next, having the skill set and the coaching, the mentoring to have that IBS dialed in all the time. Does that make sense? So what is it for you? Let's put it down there per year. I'm going to keep this conservative. It's easily 20k minimum. It could be up to $1 million, depending on what the thing is that you're trying to do and trying to achieve. But for now, we'll keep it at 20k, just so it's more, I guess, conservative for everybody. So 20k a year and 26k a year, if you had that 6. We've now got 26k a year, not over a lifetime, over a year. And that could be, like I say, for some people, that could be 40, 50, 60,000. That, at the moment, is probably, I would argue, the biggest expense that you've got, the biggest outgoing at the moment. It might be your mortgage, depending on the size of your house. If you've got a mortgage, if you've got a Rolls Royce, it might be your car payment. So it's probably one of your biggest expenses at the moment, if not the biggest. Agreed? Either first or second. So that there, 26,000 a year, is the price that you're paying on all this stuff. You're paying that money to the universe of not knowing, not having the skills and not having the training and the right system to help you get your IBS dialed in now, so that you can get out of this stuckness that you're in, if that's a word. Yeah, it's just, and get your symptoms dialed in quickly and effectively, so you can start earning more money, pay less money to all this stuff that you probably don't even need. I'm talking to you if you want to get the best outcome. IBS dialed in, managed, under control, like clockwork, for the long haul. Not just for now, but for 5, 10 years time, 15 years time. So you can go and create the legacy you want to do without that IBS thing dangling over you and doing your head in. Looking at that there then, so 26,000 a year. What is that in 10 years? Now the average person, may I add, the average person has IBS for more than 10 years. You might be one of them. I hope not. You might have had it 5 years. You might have only had it a year. You might have just been newly diagnosed, and now is the time to take action before any of this starts to take effect. You get my drift? I had mine 10 years before I got help, and before I got mine under control. 10 years. Okay. So I'm probably falling into one of these categories now. I'm kicking myself in the back. So 26,000 over 10 years, we know is 260,000. Wow. 260,000. What could you buy with that? That's a house. Well, it is over here in the UK. It might not be in America. I think it probably isn't at a smaller house. 260,000 on 10 years. If that's an entrepreneur, we said before the million, that's 10 million. It could be a little bit less than that, but it is going to be a substantial figure. And you can actually pay a lot less than that. Do you agree that you can pay a lot less than $260,000 to get probably the best coaching program in the world on this planet? Easily. Right? And it's not going to cost you 260,000. It's not going to cost you 26,000 either. It's going to be substantially less than that. What's stopping us? What's stopping you? If you've got your IBS dialed in and you've written loads of stuff down, what is the cost to you financially over a year? Well, start with a month, a year, but then looking forward paces. If you don't get this sorted out now and you keep paying out all this stuff to all these people and these different, you don't really notice $50 here, $250 there. It's a small leak, it just trickles out, but it adds up in a big way. So it might be worth bearing all that in mind. Hopefully, if you do what I did when I did this many moons ago, it made me realise, and I thought, wow, when I heard it off, I can't remember if it was a book that I read it in or because YouTube wasn't around then. I did exactly the same as this, and it's what stopped me from smoking. I used to smoke a long time ago, long time ago. I used to smoke, like many of you probably did. And I tried stopping, I tried the willpower method, I tried Nicorette patches, I tried this, I tried that. And and I read a book, I think it was Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking. Amazing book. And that book, and it might have been in there about doing it as well, and I read this and I sat there and I wrote down how much cigarettes were costing me per day, per week, per month, per year. And I already went backwards and thought, well, I've smoked for over 10 years, so this is probably what I've spent in 10 years. and this is what I'm looking at, I'm going to be spending in the next 10 years. Stopped. Never had one since. It was something crazy, like a house. So it might be worth doing for that as well. Hope this helps. Put things into perspective. Yeah, listen guys, if you are buying books at the moment and you're spending $30 and you want to buy and you keep buying them and they're not really helping you, some of the diet books are good out there, some of the meal plans, some of the recipes, they might work. But if you want, remember there's a quote I think I read off Alex Amorsi, a big entrepreneur on the YouTube at the moment, if you're following him. He said, which was really, really good, it's better to read one good book and implement that book than read 10, 20, 30 books and not do anything. Okay, and I mentioned that in my book as well, IBS Inversion. That book there is on Amazon, and it's Kindle is really, really cheap. Yeah, to keep the cost down for people that are really on that budget and that are reduced income, what we said before, but still wanted to get unstuck. If you do want to get unstuck from IBS and you've tried loads of different stuff and all this is happening and you don't know what it is that's blocking you, it could be, I'm not saying it is, it could be something to do with your mindset, something that's, again, sneaky that you don't know, you don't really know about yet, that you need to pull the curtain back and uncover. And once you see it, it'll be simple and you'll be like, how did I not see that before? But sometimes, quite often we can't see the woods through the trees. That book will help you uncover that. It's what I've just done here, but more. It uses the art of inversion. If you don't know what inversion is, Google it. Go on Bard, ChatGPT, and type in there inversion thinking, and it's amazing. And it's a totally different concept of, I'm giving my book away, you don't even need to buy the book now, on how to think differently and how to get results and how to sometimes to pull yourself out when you're really, really stuck with anything, financially, health, weight, money, IBS. Okay, so it's a really, really good tool, really, really good skill to have and to practice. Simple enough to do, but then to use over the long haul. I can't recommend it enough, as in the skill and the book, obviously. Hope you're enjoying the video, guys. Just to dive in here, if you are sick and tired and if this is resonating with you and you've realised, because you've watched the video, you've reflected on things and you know that your IBS is getting in the way, even the fear of IBS is preventing you from earning 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 extra, whatever that amount is, per year, and you want to do something about it and only invest a fraction of that now so that you can earn that potential for the rest of your life, then hook us up now. Don't wait, because time is money, and obviously we don't get time back. It's the most precious commodity. So if you want to speak to me about it and the team, hook us up at charliegene.com/apply. There's a link in the description. There's a link on the YouTube channel. Dial us up and let's talk. Let's look at saving you some money and making you some money, making you more of a better person, feeling better, more confident, so that you can go out and create the legacy that you know that you need, and your family as well. Take care.